Ladies and gentlemen, today we're reacting to Bellular's video where he does a deep dive into all the class tuning and all the class pruning that's going to be coming in World of Warcraft's brand new expansion, Midnight. And we're looking at past, we're looking at present, and we're looking at future. We're going to figure out just how bad all this is or just how good all of it is. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, this video is why our alpha coverage has been a little bit late, because to actually do things right for Midnight, we basically had to look at everything.
Maybe be sure my space bar is working.
And one thing is
my bad.
Clear. Midnight is not going to be the WoW that we're used to, and
first off, Midnight's not going to be the WoW that we're used to. Thank God.
Blizzard are on an utter rampage. The overall goal is to make combat more approachable.
Yes!
But what does that mean? Well, it means reducing complexity. It means making gameplay more intuitive. Yes. And as a part of that, they're removing a whole ton of buttons. And
yes. This is so needed. It's not even funny. It needs to happen. It's like destiny.
Mean a ton. The Midnight Prune is real, and we've actually ran the numbers on whatever.
What does it say? Rotation 16, utility 9, total 25. Wait, what? They made a spreadsheet? Rotation button used for core. I guess they'll explain it.
Started with and is going to be left with. So today you'll find out which specs have been hit the hardest, which ones still need a bit of a prune, and
really quick, what are your predictions? What are your predictions? They said the spreadsheet's going to show everything that they started with and what they left with. I hope that we get pruned to the ground. That might be a hot take, but I think it's needed if we're going to get new players in this game. The game has too much bloat. It needs to happen.
Whether Blizzard are making the game feel better or a whole lot worse. It's quite huge, but not as insane as you may think, though some of you will definitely log in to find some rather empty-looking action bars, which is rather unlike how you'll feel after pruning your data from where it shouldn't be using Incogni, because they're both today's sponsor and your easiest way to fight back. You see, whenever data leaks, data brokers harvest it and then they sell it on.
Why do I
so
look
if you've
yellow?
ever wondered how spam
I'm gonna just figure
callers
this out
get your
during the
number,
ad. Wait, did I fix
often
it?
Stuff like that. And Incogni solves the problem by
I think I
automating
fixed
the
it.
legal work that you would otherwise have to do. And all you've got
I feel obligated to have to watch these ads because they make such good content. You know, you gotta let them do what they gotta do.
60% off the annual plan, which is the plan that I use.
really hope.
And here's how it works.
Death Knight has a decent amount of buttons.
And then
not a lot.
It works.
Decent enough to be fun though. Same for all classes. I'm just biased because I'm gonna play a DK at midnight. So let's see.
Right to get your data taken down, but doing that means manual paperwork, and it's not permanent. What Incogni does is automatically scan the brokers, it then sends the takedown requests and adds you to the suppression lists. It does all of this automatically, and they rescan to make sure your data is kept down. And you can see my own progress on my own dashboard. 217 sent, 2 in progress, 215 completed, and
I'm gonna be honest, I shouldn't have talked during this ad.
That really is peace of mind, especially.
I have no idea what I'm looking at right now.
Quite a lot of breaches going on.
That's the Elijah brain for you.
One example, the recent stuff with Discord. And at incogni.com/Bellular Warcraft, you get 60% off the annual plan, so check them out using my link today.
Here it is. Now it's time.
How bad is it? Well, you're almost definitely losing some buttons. On average, specs are losing almost 3 things to press.
On average, specs are losing almost 3 things to press. So what is this spreadsheet broken down into? DPS, utility, total, DPS. Okay. Live alpha change, total change. Okay.
To be specific, the actual average we calculated is 2.
Damn! Did you see what they did to shamans down there? Death Knight loses 2 total in blood. Oh, wait. We actually gain 1 in unholy? Okay. Shaman got -6 and 5. Paladin -6. Paladin had 6 abilities. So holy, yes, it did.
Losing almost 3 things to press. To be specific, the actual average we calculated is 2.74.
Okay.
Now, look at the whole picture. Of all the specs that we tested, only 5 came out with more or the same number.
How does Unholy have more buttons? I literally just said this, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. How do I have more buttons?
The other 34, well, they are losing at least 1 button. And in the most brutal cases,
like, I don't think you guys understand. I literally have built, you can't see it. I've literally built a callus on my thumb from pressing all the 12 buttons on this mouse. You understand that? That's a problem.
Up to 6 buttons. You may be wondering who got hit hardest then.
Sorry, Jonathan, well, that's you right there.
Holy Paladin, Holy Priest, and Enhancement Shaman. Then on the other end, both Death Knight DPS specs actually gain a button, as does Fury Warrior. But here's the thing. The most common amount of buttons removed is a much more reasonable 2 buttons. Of course, knowing how much you lose is one thing, but we've also got total numbers to compare, where right now the average spec in World of Warcraft has 26.92 buttons to.
Do you understand how ridiculous that is? The average spec has 26.92 buttons. to press? Are you out of your mind? This mouse has 12 keys. I have to shift and I didn't even think about that. 26.92 average is absolutely insane.
Press.
No, it's not a skill issue. It's not. I don't care. Like, if new people come to the game and I'm like, yeah, man, you got to have 26 different keybinds to use just to play this game at a decent level, all right?
In Midnight, that drops to a nice round 24. The smallest amount right now is 22 buttons, and the highest amount is a rather insane 37.
What?
That, by the way, belongs to Resto Druid because
Resto has 37 buttons. Are you crazy? You need a foot pedal.
Because of their cat form DPS, which isn't a surprise. Druids in general are a little bit bloated because of all their different forms, but they're not that much worse than others. Take a look here at Brewmaster Monk. They have 31 buttons, the highest of any tank in the game. Affliction and Demonology Warlock, they have got 29 each.
That
disgusting. Is a lot for just doing
this
some
is
DPS.
An actual problem.
In Midnight, all of these are coming down.
It doesn't even...
As an example, Resto...
Like, it might not feel that bad now that you're playing it, right? Like, you're doing this. Like, you've played it for so long. You're used to it. As you're leveling up, you're putting a keybind here, keybind there, keybind here. But 37 is ridiculous. That's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine you're a new player and you look at this sheet and you're like, hey, I want to play this game. Are you out of your mind? Why?
Drops to 34, which is still super high. They're definitely an outlier. But Brewmaster, it comes down to 26. Warlocks drop to 25 and 26 respectively, but it's not just the higher end of things getting pruned. Take, as an example, Fire Mage and Havoc Demon Hunter. They were actually tied for the least number of buttons at 22. But in Midnight, they're actually down to 19 and 18 buttons respectively. So yes, the pruning is absolutely happening, and it's impacting almost everybody. But that's not the full picture, because I've not actually explained what I even mean by button yet. Because it turns out the story goes way beyond those numbers.
He got me.
My big fear would be losing my core gameplay, and that's where there is some good news. Of course, not every button is a button that you press all.
I'm not gonna lie, just looking at this right there, if we look at that lower region right there, that looks so much healthier on the human brain. That looks a lot better.
All of the time. Plus, we're coming into a new expansion, which also means 10 new talent points. And here's why those things matter. You are probably losing more damage buttons than you are utility. So let me explain what all of this data actually is and how we even got the numbers that I've been talking about today. What we did is we built a custom add-on that scrapes Blizzard's spellbook.
Jesus Christ.
We went that deep for this video.
God.
Kind of cracked, but it was pretty fun. And obviously, you don't have every spell at once because of your talents. So for every spec, what we did is we grabbed the most popular Mythic Plus build from Archon.gg.
That's fair.
You may be wondering, why Mythic Plus? Well, just because it uses more buttons than raid builds in general,
they got the sweatiest people out there.
AoE. And that means that it's a very good comparison that kind of hits everything that a spec will do. After doing that, we pulled everything into a spreadsheet and categorized everything into damage, healing, personal, and utility, plus a final non-combat category to mop up things like raid buffs. After doing that, we then created as similar as possible builds on Alpha, and then we did the exact same process across every single spec.
That's a lot.
That is how I can tell you this, the important thing. We are losing more actual damage buttons than we are utility buttons.
I like that.
Across the game, we're dropping 1.92 buttons from our rotations, but just under 1 button on average from our utility. So with that in mind, who got hit the worst?
How the hell did UK
get The answer by the numbers is Frost Mage.
I said UK. I meant DK, and I was thinking unholy, so I said UK. I don't understand how Death Knight got a button.
Holy Priest and Holy Paladin. All of them are losing 5 abilities from their core rotations. But there's a problem with me saying that, because healers have got to both heal and do damage. That naturally means they have a bloated number of buttons and therefore more to prune. So
I see.
To get an even more clear picture, we've split the data down by role. And we found out that DPS are the least impacted in.
Bro, Mage got smoked. I don't know what we're talking about. I'm looking at that. I'm seeing DPS, Unholy gain 0, Frost gain 1, Havoc -2, Evoker -3, Mage -2, 3, 5. They got kicked in. Frost got smoked.
Their rotations. But with that said, it is still quite uneven, by which I mean some specs are being grossly simplified. Take, for an example, the Fire Mage. The only word here that fits is gutted. It had 9 rotation buttons, which was tied for the minimum with Beast Mastery Hunter and Rat Paladin. Now, it is down
you finna be hitting fireballs and pyroblasts until you fall asleep.
6. maybe 7 if Meteor gets buffed enough. Phoenix Flames, deleted entirely. Shifting Power, gone. Scorch.
Okay, thank you. Honest, Shifting Power, I've never understood it. I'm not a mage player. Every time I see it, I'm like, I'm sure, should I be scared or not? So, good with that.
Does execute function? Well, that has been rolled into Fireball. And what that means is that even if they still have the same gameplay with Fire Blast resets and Pyroclasm, their bars do look embarrassingly empty.
Nice.
Now, for a different story, we can then look at Arms Warrior. It has been carefully pruned. They had the most core buttons at 15. Now they've got a much leaner 12, which still puts them in the top bracket. Here's the thing with that. They're actually not losing much gameplay. Avatar and Thunderous Roar won't really be missed. They were just...
Wait, okay. Avatar, Thunderous... Okay.
Fire and forget cooldowns, and Blizzard are trying to take some damage out of the cooldowns and put it back into, you know, your regular ability so you don't feel useless outside of popping your coolies. Now, Thunderclap is one that's missing, but that's actually kind of fine because Rend is now AoE by itself.
What? What? Okay. What? Rend is now an automatic AoE? Huh. I'm gonna have to play Warrior again, to be honest. Low key, leaning that way. I was leaning Paladin, but kind of want to hit somebody over the head with a two-handed axe.
And they're getting lots of other changes as well, but those have nothing really to do with the.
I heard they have a crazy second wind ability. I just don't know 100%.
Of becoming a big Avatar man. The result, though, is a far more lean and sensible Arms Warrior. But that's not all we found, because some specs will look almost identical. Windwalker, as an example, loses 1 defensive in the form of Diffuse Magic, and Storm, Earth, and Fire is being replaced by Weapons of Order. So
I literally wouldn't even notice that.
So their gameplay is largely unchanged. Most specs, though, fall somewhere around the middle. As an example, Marksmanship Hunter only loses Explosive Shot from its rotation.
I can live with that. I can live with that for sure.
Beast Mastery loses Call of the Wild, and Bloodshed is getting rolled into Bestial Wrath.
That's just less buttons to press. I'm good with that too. It's going to make BM even better to play.
Sub-rogues lose their flagellation because Blizzard decided ultimately playing WoW is flagellation enough, and Cold Blood is no longer inactive, it's now going to be a passive. So what you see here is overall a Blizzard that's being quite careful when it comes to pruning rotations.
I can agree with that.
They've essentially solved problems without causing that much harm, which certainly is good, and in our upcoming class change videos, you will see that designers have solved way more problems than they have created.
Okay. Important stand-up.
Now, the next topic today will be healers, because they really have had the biggest changes.
Before he even goes on, to be honest, I've even thinking about making a healer outside of the Warrior and DK. DK is going to be my main, but I'm thinking about Warrior. Healers on the back burner. Because so me, in my Elijah brain, right? My brain doesn't compute with playing a healer. I'm just really bad at it, but if there's less spells, it's more approachable to me, and I might actually try it.
But there's 1 or 2 things to talk about first, because I've got 2 very important examples. First, Assassination Rogue. It's an example of a spec that's been surgically simplified, where they actually didn't lose any buttons overall. But Shiv is changing category. Right now, Shiv opens a bonus damage window for your Envenoms, but in Midnight, it just goes back to being the utility poison button. And that basically makes their cooldown windows less punishing, and it just lightens the rotation a little bit. Now, our other example is a bit weirder. It's Frost Mage with its massive rework, where in total, it's got 5...
What are we looking at? We've got Ice Lance. We've got that Glacial Spike, I think. We got the little thing that looks... Is it Flurry? Is that Flurry? I think that's what that is.
Fewer damage buttons than in Midnight. As an example, Icy Veins is gone entirely.
Whoa!
Ice Nova now replaces Cone of Cold.
Yo, why he in a T-pose?
And thanks to changes made to Shatter, Frost Nova doesn't give bonus damage anymore. It's purely just crowd control.
Wait, what? What? Damage from Frostbolt and Flurry applies freezing to the target side, 20% damage from Ice Land, Shadow, enemies consuming us. Okay.
Shifting Power is also gone.
Damn!
Like it is for all the mages, but
that's a lot.
Ray of Frost has now came in as their major cooldown, their mandatory one, the one that kind of defines more the look and feel of their spec.
The Gazer
That's not the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. Glacial Spike and Comet Storm are staying, but not as their own buttons. Instead, Frostbolt and Blizzard will change into those buttons under certain conditions, which basically means you get to use those cool spells, but without having loads of button bloat that will make your key binding harder.
That's
I just think those
cool.
are great examples of this stuff
That's
being
cool.
done right, and I'd say that all in all, for us DPS players, Blizzard's actually done a great job with the pruning thus far. I mean, where specs could have lost buttons that they would have wanted to keep, we instead are seeing those abilities get consolidated, like what we just covered with Frostmage, but also
I like this a lot. This gives me hope.
For example, Hammer of Wrath now replaces Judgment during Avenging Wrath.
Okay.
That's one less button and no real loss. Now, we will do deep dives into every spec in the upcoming winners and losers video, because...
Has anybody played the alpha watching this? How does Shaman feel? I need to know for Jonathan. I need to understand how Shaman feels, because now I'm curious, because if they're just putting abilities together, this changes my perspective.
For now, I have something far more important to talk about, and that is maybe the real winners of pruning, maybe not. Healers.
Okay, I think I fixed it.
Right, healers have got the most buttons. It's been that way for a long ass time.
I'm really excited for this.
Damage and healing in the rotations, and in our numbers, they're averaging 19 things to press.
Bro, 34 on Resto Druid is actually insane. It has to be all the shapeshifting. It literally has to be. Holy Paladin getting pruned 6 is pretty fire, because I like playing Paladin, but I felt like playing Ret, and Arena just wasn't it because they have no mortal wounds, so might be playing Holy.
Bad utility, that goes up to 29. Now in Midnight, they're losing 4 buttons on average, 3 of them being healing or damage.
They got smoked.
So let's take a look then at the best example, which I think is the Holy Priest, which was an utter nightmare, because to heal and do damage, you needed 19 buttons. They had so many different things. Now,
wait, really? I was playing Holy. Do you really need 19 buttons? Maybe I'm just ass. What? I got to like 1900 healing though. Really? Damn.
Oh, it's just 14.
Maybe I'm cheap.
The Power Word, Shield, Renew, Heal, and the Oracle skill are gone.
Wait, let me see
Shadow
this.
Word.
Renew's gone. I don't even... Yeah, maybe I'm trash. I don't even know what half of these are. 3/4. No, 1/4.
Pain is gone as well.
Maps is hard.
Of course, were completely extra buttons that weren't the core of what you were doing as Holy, so they were just sort of in there feeling miserable, but technically still part of your kit.
Yeah.
But you're not really losing here, because all of their effects are basically now baked in passives. That will just make it easier to pick the right button for the right situation. You know, signal to noise ratio in your kit. Kind of an important thing.
Yep.
Now, another one that's been kind of saved is the Holy Paladins. And man, I know you guys have been suffering for a while. What we've seen with them is mostly pruning from damage.
I'm reading this, sorry. Holy Paladins updates are focused on removing various inconsequential healing sources and cutting secondary tracking buffs. Thank God. We are also reducing the amount of mid-range cooldowns they have access to, as we felt there are too many in that space, and making sure Aura Mastery is a satisfying and impactful button press instead. Light of Dawn is also getting an update to its targeting, now being a circular radius around the Paladin rather than being a frontal cone. Thank you. I like that a lot. Getting the perfect angle for Light of Dawn can sometimes be difficult, and we don't feel like it matched our combat approachability goals. And this is actually a skill issue for me. I used to shoot the cone in the wrong direction. I like this.
Overlap and niche spells. So, Crusader Strike, gone. No more Crusades for you. Hammer of Wrath and Consecration are now just both part of Judgment. Holy Prison is now a choice against Divine Toll. Blessing of Seasons has been sent back to the Shadowlands from whence it came. What we see, though, is that with power shifting back into your baseline healing, you can essentially do better with fewer buttons. I mean, so many of your healer abilities were just noise. Now, it's just a lot easier to know what spells actually matter. And that's true for everybody, except for one, the Resto Shaman.
Oh!
Whoops. Bit of a problem here.
Oh no! Oh no!
They're losing tons of gameplay. Cloudburst, gone. Healing Tide, gone. Healing Surge, gone. It's kind of wild.
I'm sorry,
Initially,
Jonathan.
Unleash Life was also gone, but Blizzard have actually given that back to you guys.
Hey, look, we've been monitoring community feedback closely and agreed that this specialization is missing some gameplay after our recent changes. Okay, at least they notice it. We're adding Unleash Life back into the restoration tree with some minor tweaks to its functionality. We still want normal spellcast to be impactful, but being able to respond according to the situation with a short cooldown allows for fun and rewarding gameplay. We've also taken a look at Ascendance and feel this is a good opportunity to update its functionality for some fresh gameplay. Looking forward to your continued feedback. Unleash Life has returned to the talent tree and has been redesigned. Unleash Elemental Forces of Life, healing a friendly target, increases the healing of your next Riptide, Chain Heal, or Healing Wave by 25%, and reduces their cast time by 30%. Okay, at least they realized they overpruned the hell out of it.
Following some alpha feedback. And they did that basically so you'd have more to do than just spamming Chain Heal and Healing Wave. It's
literally
a bit weird. It is the one healer that's basically lost the sauce that's made it fun. That does blow, and I think Blizzard need to take a more serious look at Resto Shaman. Tanks then, are a bit less interesting to talk about, but it is good news, where
Give a damn
pruning
about a
has of
tank.
course led to fewer buttons,
I don't even
especially
PvE.
with Brewmaster. And the simple TLDR of it all is that nothing's really been lost. On average, tanks are losing about 2 buttons, but most of those losses are getting moved into
Why did
passive
Brewmaster
effects
lose
or are
5?
being replaced with reworks.
Was it that
Up to
bloated?
now, we've been talking about the core gameplay,
I never really
and
played
that
it.
is
It's a
where most
genuine
of the
question.
changes happened. And most of that change is positive. And I mean it when I say it that this is impressive. It's hard to make this amount of change on such a big game so quickly, but they've mostly managed to scalpel out the bloat, but take very little of the meat with it. The same should mostly go for utility, but I do have to say mostly because there are some victims.
The utility victims.
On
Okay.
utility, we first got to remember that it's a new expansion, we're getting more levels, and that means we get 10 extra talent points. 3 of those will go into your class tree, and
Wait a minute. The victims and you showing a DK? Please don't hurt my feelings.
at level 90, that means you'll basically be able to pick all the utility that you want. And that means that most specs should actually have more options in Midnight. But the pruning mostly counteracts that. I say mostly because many specs can now pick up things that they couldn't before. As an example, Death Knights with Wraith Walk, Warriors with Intimidating Shout, because those were abilities that were hard to fit in before. But there's also a lot of utility kind of disappearing forever, where only
I like how like half of these are straight up shaman. Like
elemental shamans get Thunderstorm now. And they've all lost Stone Bulwark. Hunters are losing Bursting Shot and Implosive Trap.
what the hell is bursting shot and implosive trap? I've never even heard that. Is that like survival that I just never tried?
Monks only have a passive version of Diffuse Magic, and every healer except Shaman, well, they're losing their interrupts, which has been extremely controversial.
That's okay. Wait a minute. Oh shit! Oh, so they have wind shear. Okay, so Jonathan, you have something on other healers now. You have an interrupt that no one else does. That's kind of fire. That's like the
To say the least. Covering the other roles, though, in some cases Blizzard have tried to save abilities via consolidation. As an example, Havoc has now got their Netherwalk immunity as a part of Blur. Rat Paladins have got
cool.
Shield of Vengeance included in Divine Protection, and Warlocks
Okay,
can still
interesting.
heal their pets, but Drain Life does that instead of Health Funnel. So,
Whoa!
pretty smart consolidation, the kind of thing that
Kind of
just
intuitive.
tends to work. But there was one class that's been completely demolished, and if you main this class, sit down and get ready. If you're a mage,
Oh, thank God he didn't say DK. It's a mage. I don't give a damn.
you may feel kind of ruined. Mass barrier is gone.
Sorry.
Tons of your crowd control are now choice nodes. That reduces your options.
I've died to too many rogue mage comps, dude. I don't care. I just this is a great day for me.
Shimmer is at its cooldown, increased massively.
Ooh,
Blink's
ooh.
second charge is now your class tree capstone. Now,
Damn.
displacement is still there, but it's a choice against that capstone, so you can't have both, and it works as a blink double tap instead of its own button. Honestly, for them, it's brutal, and they've probably went too far. But by now in the video, you've got a fair idea of what's going on, so let's bring this into the big question, which is, but is any of this any good?
Yes, it's fantastic. We don't even need another. It's the best thing ever. It is amazing. Yes, 1000%. Two
Blizzard
thumbs
make
up.
the game
Yes.
feel better, or did they make
Yes.
the game feel worse? Well,
Take it away.
Based on our time on the alpha, they have mostly made the game better. This has been a
Amen.
positive change. Even removing a few abilities has made most DPS substantially easier to
telling
keep
you,
behind.
man. I'm telling
and
you.
to understand.
I'm telling you, and if you're upset about this because you feel like you're losing your class identity, like, do you understand that your game is on the steady decline? We need players so bad. I want to play this game. I want to play this game for a long time. There's other games that seep in, but World of Warcraft has this little section in my brain that had just like, it's got its claws in it, and I don't want the game to die. We need more players to come in. We do. And this is going to make it more accessible. Hands
It'll
down.
probably be good for a
It
lot
will.
of players. And these changes have actually been backed up by changes made in the dungeons, where cast times are longer. There's a better signal to noise ratio. This is clearly Blizzard designing a new era of World of Warcraft.
Thank
that's
you.
Not going to be rooted in add-ons and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Now, healers should benefit massively from less bloat, in theory. Overall, then, designers have done a great job
I'm
here.
happy.
Classes are still fun to play, and importantly, they're fun to get good at. But there's a small caveat, and it's that I hope they don't go any further here. Take, say, Frostmage, it's the most recently reworked one. What they've done with Frostbolt and Glacial Spike is elegant. I think for most players it'll be fun, but for some, it may be a bit frustrating. And another thing lost is part of the fun of having a
What does that sound? Is that him?
new ability. The physical sensation of hitting a different button. When your bars look empty and you're pressing the same 3 to 4 buttons over and over again, then the rest of the game does need to be more exciting to make up for that.
And it can be. And hopefully they make that adjustment. Hopefully the game becomes more fun and not just this crazy convoluted, I have to learn 35,000 buttons just to play the game, because it kills the new player experience. Is so much harder, man. It is so much harder. Just make the content fun to play through. Take out we don't need 30,000 buttons for the game just to be fun. There's so many other games with under like 7 buttons you press and the game is a blast. Like, it's just, we don't need 30. I'm sorry the recording and the outro that got a little bit messed up, but I do want to know your thoughts and opinions on all the pruning that's happening at midnight. What class you're going to play? How do you feel about everything? For me personally, I'm excited to play Unholy DK. Even though we're getting an extra button, I really want to see how it works and everything. I'm excited to play Warrior, even maybe a healer, but I want to know, did it destroy your class? Are you hurt from what it did to your class? What are your thoughts on PvE, PvP, the whole 9 yards? Obviously, I come from a PvP perspective, but I always want to know where the community is at. So let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new around here, my name is Lobotomy. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy this kind of content, let me know in the comments below as well, and drop a like and a sub as it helps me out a ton. And I'll see you guys in the next one.